what is your favorite video game?
Mario Odyssey.
Oh, tell her.
My favorite video game.
And is Mario Odyssey.
No, say
My favorite video game is Mario Odyssey.
Very good.
And what do you do in Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, do you know, like, you can hit the bad guys with your hat and then you get in the bad guys. Is that weird? So weird. Hi, I'm Henry. I am 4 years old.
So Henry, you helped us make a dino hospital gown. What is your favorite dinosaur?
1 second. I'm gonna show you something.
Okay.
Oh boy.
This is why I like dinosaurs, because they make dinosaur masks.
Oh, a dinosaur mask. Put it on, show her.
Because you got a dinosaur mask at the zoo.
Show
your best dinosaur.
Your best dinosaur, or just like gigantic.
And here's the other one.
Whoa.
He blows smoke out of his mouth.
Oh, I'm gonna get the picture.
I'm Patricia Furman, and I'm Henry's mom. Henry is now 4 years old.
I'm Brian Furman. I'm Henry's dad. Henry was diagnosed January 7th of last year.
Yeah. He just wasn't feeling well, and we took him to his pediatrician, and they did some blood work, and the pediatrician immediately told us that he needed to go down to Erlanger's Children's Hospital for further testing. And then he actually called us on the way to the hospital and said he just didn't want us to be blindsided, and that he believed that Henry had cancer, and he'd already talked to the doctor. And so they explained that it was leukemia, B cell, ALL, and that they were going to admit him immediately. So there wasn't a lot of processing time. They just kind of told us, hey,
he was in fairly bad shape when we got him there.
Yeah.
He had really low blood counts and pretty much no red blood cells in his body at all.
The day that Henry was diagnosed was the worst day of our life. He was just 3 years old when he was diagnosed with leukemia, and it was such a shock to us. The doctor said he needed immediate hospitalization, and so there was no warning. It was just, you're getting admitted. His blood numbers were so off from the leukemia cells that all the nurses had trouble finding a vein for his IV, and they poked him, I think it was like 13 times. They tried both of his arms, and each time he was more and more terrified. He was hurting. We were all scared. He was just crying, and no matter what we tried, we just couldn't get that IV in, and we knew that he needed an IV to save his life. There were doctors and nurses holding him down. I was holding him down, trying to comfort him. He was terrified, and he was crying. And I remember him saying, "I want to go home, and I'm scared." And it was just really, really hard. So they decided that they really needed to get the IV in. And so they ended up doing a scalp IV, but they had to wrap his head. And he was just so terrified. And then one of the child life specialists said that, that they had a Starlight Foundation gaming system, and they thought that maybe that they could bring it in for him to try to keep him calm and give him something to do, something that a normal kid would do. And I just remember them bringing in the gaming system, and he was so excited, and I just saw him light up, and he was so happy. And after everything he had gone through, and all the pain I knew he had already been through and was getting ready to face in his long battle to cure him, but just to see him light up and smile and have a little bit of normalcy, it really made his day. It made our day. And to see him sitting up in bed and playing the gaming system and showing me and his dad, and he was just so proud of himself, and it really helped change the way that day was going and how we were all feeling. And I'm just very thankful to Starlight for that. So yeah, the doctor told us in the hospital that, it was definitely, leukemia is a marathon, not a sprint. So she just said that it's a really long process. It's a lot of different treatments. There's different stages. Henry's currently in maintenance. He still gets treatments, and, he still has to do doctor's visits and things like that. But, total treatment, 2.5 years for it to be all gone. Luckily, Henry achieved remission after that first month in the hospital. Some kids, don't achieve remission right away. So we're very blessed to have him achieve remission, but they still have to keep the cancer from coming back. And that's why it's such a long process.
But after that initial 30 days, they don't have an immune system like a normal person. So he had, I think, 4 different times where he would run a normal fever, but that for anybody else would be no big deal. But for him, it's an emergency. So we had to go straight back to the hospital. And he had some like 10, 12, 15-day stays where he couldn't even leave that room because he had no immune system at all.
Henry's been quarantining before it was a thing for everyone else. So
about 3 months before everybody else, he was already quarantined.
He was diagnosed right before the pandemic started.
We got used to it, and he was already under quarantine, so nothing changed for us really. In the quarantine. He'll
finish treatment May 19th of 2022. So, next year in May. So we're looking forward to that. That's kind of scary too, because that's unknown. This has become our new normal. He'll still have to go to the hospital, but not as frequently. And a lot of people say that, the kids even are like, missing going to the hospital when they get their port taken out, that they feel like a piece of them was removed, because this is their new, this is their day-to-day life. So even though we're so excited for all the treatment to be over, I mean, I don't know, it'll just be nice.
Another new routine, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're ready
party.
to take a big party.
party.
Everyone's invited, and definitely some vacations, and we won't have to be as careful with his immune system, so he can get a little bit more normalcy back. But yeah, we're just excited. We hope every kid, gets to do the same.
When we first went in, we hadn't really packed a bag or anything, and so he needed something that he was kind of used to, and he already played a little bit of video games before he went into the hospital, and now he's like a complete gamer just because of having that Nintendo Wii in the room with him. Some of those days when he was really bored between treatments, he was playing a couple hours at a time. Yeah. And he got hooked. Yeah. He's a real gamer now.
Yeah. When he was scared, or when, his stomach was hurting really bad, or he was getting some really strong medicine, at least he had that to think about and to distract him. And a lot of times one of us would lay down with Henry, and just, looking out the window. I mean, there's just not a lot in the hospital rooms to do. They try to make it as comfortable as they can. But definitely distractions are good in the hospital.
Yeah. There's not very much to do.
But all the Starlight programs are awesome, because the gowns make accessing the port so much easier. And I mean, the VR, he talks about how cool the VR is.
The VR was awesome. I had never used anything like that before. It was really neat.
We're so excited about Henry's gown that he designed. I think that the Starlight gowns are so important, because it makes it easier to access the port, which a lot of times kids are scared. I mean, because they are coming to access the port with a needle, and there's people standing over him. And so they're just really, it eases that anxiety. And then they're always, fun looking. They have characters that are familiar.
I think he has a Mario one.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, he has a Mario gown. So he would put that thing on, and he had a little Mario hat that they had given him. So he was running around the room pretending he was Mario and dancing like he was Mario.
Yeah, he chose dinosaurs. It is one of his favorite things. He likes to run around and roar and destroy things like dinosaurs. And it's just, he loves, I love to see his imagination go crazy with the dinosaurs. And I think it's so special that he was selected. It's a really big honor. I mean, there's so many, all these kids are so brave, and they're so wonderful, and they go through so much. So I'm sure, seeing any of their imaginations come out, is so fun. But it's just an honor to be able to have, kids get these gowns and, give them some comfort the way Henry was comforted. And then we can't say enough great things about Erlanger. So we're really excited to be able to share that right there in the hospital, where he's gotten so much care. Thank you, streamers, for streaming for Starlight. It means the world to families like us, and definitely to our son Henry, who's so brave and battling. And you guys can be doing anything, you're choosing to do this, and I'm just so thankful. We really, really appreciate it.
We'll be watching.
Thank you, Starlight, for delivering happiness to sick kids.
Thank you, Starlight.
What's this little dot? What's this little dot?
Yeah.
Go play, bud.
Okay, go get your
Go play.
iPad. Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Say
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
No,
No,
you
don't
hang
hang
up.
up.
We're
Don't
still
hang up.
talking to her.
Go.
Thank you. Bye.
Go sit on the couch.